Today we're taking a look at these NBA matches, which are happening on Friday, October 28, 2022, and giving you match breakdowns, betting tips and predictions in general on these games. Welcome back to High Stakes, let's get straight into it. Also, don't forget to subscribe and push that notification bell to get notified as soon as we release these sport prediction videos. And if you would like more betting tips and predictions, then check out our Patreon in the link down below. Our new Patreon is a way for us to help you improve your chances of making more money. Multiple plans are available for each and every one of you. By becoming a member of the High Stakes Patreon, you will have access to our best team picks, total picks, parlay picks and much more. Stop wasting hours of your time searching for bad betting predictions that ends up costing you a lot of time and money. Join the High Stakes Patreon now and get the best betting picks. Toronto Raptors vs Philadelphia 76ers. The 76ers have lost 4 of their last 5 games and 2 straight road games. They have struggled offensively, especially from long distance, with the team making less than 38% of their three-pointers. Their offensive rebounding also hasn't been good, which will limit their second-chance scoring opportunities. The Raptors have done a great job defensively, especially in their last 3 games, with the team holding opponents under 105 points per game. They are great on the defensive glass and do a good job forcing turnovers, so expect them to keep the 76ers offense in check. The Raptors have played well offensively at home, where they are scoring more than 113 points per game. They shoot the ball well from three-point range at home, and they're very aggressive on the offensive glass. They've also done a good job protecting the ball, turning it over less than 10 times per game in their last 3 games. The 76ers usually play well defensively, but they have struggled so far, especially on the road where they are giving up more than 120 points per game and will have a hard time slowing down the Raptors, so go with Toronto to cover the spread. Philadelphia's offense is moving at a snail's pace, and these two teams just played against each other 2 days ago, which leads me to believe the total points will be under 215. The Raptors hit a lot of transition buckets last game and shot their highest field goal percentage of the season, including 16 threes. That's not going to happen every night. Plus, with Philly's bench contributing so few points, it puts a lot of extra pressure on Harden, Maxey, and Embiid. While the latter two scored 31 points apiece on Wednesday night, I'm expecting Toronto to do a better job limiting the 76ers' big three on Friday. Take the under at 215 points after Wednesday's game went over. Milwaukee Bucks vs New York Knicks. While the Knicks have won 3 straight games, beating the likes of the Pistons, Magic and Hornets doesn't move the needle all that much. Having to face off against arguably the top team in the Eastern Conference and one of the league's powerhouses, on the road no less, is a major challenge for a young Knicks team. There are few players in the league that can match up well with a Greek freak, and it's safe to say that the Knickerbockers don't have one of those guys. Milwaukee has cruised to double-digit wins in each of their last 2 games, while New York has to prove they can play well on the road. Antetokounmpo puts on a clinic and the Bucks walk off the floor still undefeated. The under is 4-1 in the last 5 meetings. Milwaukee has the best defense in the game, and opponents are barely shooting over 40% against them. Though the Knicks are good at creating second-chance opportunities, this Bucks defense does not allow a lot of offensive rebounds. On top of that, the Bucks are allowing just 87.3 FGA per game, which is one of the fewest in the NBA, meaning that not only do they contest shots well, they are keeping opponents from attempting a lot of shots with lockdown defense and taking away good looks. New York's defense has done well in contesting shots, and opponents are only shooting 43.3% against them. On top of that, the Bucks' offense is averaging one of the lowest PPG totals in the NBA. Do not expect a lot of points. Take the under 223.5 points. Minnesota Timberwolves vs Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers are dealing with a lot of issues as they are 0-4 this season and still searching for their first win. They are also dealing with point guard Russell Westbrook suffering a hamstring injury and missing his last game on Wednesday night against the Denver Nuggets. Small forward LeBron James spoke about Westbrook, and that is a delicate subject with his injury, as he is officially questionable for this game. The Timberwolves are doing a lot better than they expected to do as they have a winning record so far this season at 3-2. Their offense is electric as they are 5th in the sport with 119.4 points per game thus far. Power forward Karl Anthony Towns gave a lot of praise to small forward Anthony Edwards, as he finished with a season-high 34 points, 3 rebounds, 9 assists, and 2 steals in the victory. Both teams have been unable to shoot three-point shots on a consistent basis, as the Timberwolves are 19th in the sport with 34.7%, while the Lakers are last in the NBA with a 22.3 three-point percentage so far this season. Los Angeles is averaging just 99 points per game this season, so that means they are not going to put up too many points, especially with all 3 of their big 3 players dealing with injuries and are listed as day-to-day. The under has hit in 4 of the previous 5 Lakers games after a loss, as well as in the T-Wolves had the under hit in 5 of their last 7 games overall, so go with the under in this game. Under the total. San Antonio Spurs vs Chicago Bulls. DeRozan leads the Bulls in scoring at nearly 25 points per game, field goal percentage at nearly 52%, and in assists with 5.4 per game. Chicago is 18th in the league in scoring and 9th in points allowed so far this season. Last season, the Bulls finished 14th in scoring and 11th in points allowed. They have been terrible defending the 3 so far this season, 29th in the league through their first 5 games. They are 13th in 3-PT shooting percentage. The Bulls' offense has come to life in each of their wins, averaging 120 points per game in their wins. The San Antonio Spurs will not go quietly into this rebuild. Despite trading away their best player, Dejounte Murray, in the offseason, the Spurs are 3-2 and an even more impressive 3-1 on the road. In fact, the Spurs finally lost their first road game on Wednesday night, 134-122 to the Timberwolves. The loss came after the Spurs pulled off an upset win over Minnesota on Monday night, 115-106. On Wednesday, the Spurs defense allowed Minnesota to drill a season-high 23 PT baskets in the loss. The Spurs played the game without guards Devin Vassell and Josh Primo due to injuries. They were led by Keldon Johnson's 27 points and Doug McDermott, who chipped in with 19. Chicago's best games this season have been their highest scoring games. With that in mind, I fully expect them to put up over 120 points in this matchup against a poor Spurs defense. With that in mind, however, the Spurs will also get their shots off in this game as well. San Antonio is 4th in the NBA in assist-turnover ratio and shoot the 3-PT ball well. The Bulls are a terrible team at defending the 3-PT shot, so they will give up their fair share of clean looks against a Spurs offense that does not hurt itself. This game will likely come down to one of the final possessions. The Bulls will also likely not have the services of Lavin in this matchup, which should also close the talent gap between the 2 teams. Take the Spurs with the plus 5.5 points. The Bulls are averaging 111.2%, which is the 18th best total in the NBA, and their FG percent is also in the bottom tier of the league, as they shoot just 44.9% as a team. Their 37.13 percent is the 13th best, while their 84.2% FT percent is the 3rd best in the NBA. The Bulls' offense does an okay job creating second chances, as they average 11 offensive rebounds per game, which are tied for the 13th most per game. The Bulls' defense has been solid as they have held opponents to just 109.8 ppg, which is the 9th best. They do this by limiting opponents to just 86.2 FGA per game. The big red flag of this Bulls defense is their perimeter defense, which allows opponents to make 42.6% of their shots from beyond the arc. That's the 2nd worst 3P percent allowed in the NBA. They do force a lot of turnovers, with opponents averaging 15.6 per game. Their minus 5.5% 3P percent difference is one of the worst in the league. The over is 6-1 in the last 7 meetings in San Antonio. The Spurs have a huge advantage from deep, so expect them to put a lot of points on the board, and on the other side, the Spurs defense is terrible. Opponents are shooting over 50% as a team against the Spurs this season, so expect DeRozan and Lavin to have big nights. The Spurs' perimeter D is also not the best, and the Bulls should have some success beyond the arc. Expect a lot of points in this one. Take the over 229.